What's one of the worst ways to die? Drowning? Strangling? Decapitation? Today, we're going to be going over a serial killer named Hadj Mohammed Mesfewi, who got sentenced to crucifixion. It gets even worse than that, actually. But he probably deserved it. Find out how inventive Morocco can be when it comes to capital punishment on today's episode of Well, That's Horrible. Well, that's horrible. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Well, That's Horrible. I am Reese, and this fellow pile of flesh with me is...
Travis!
We like to tell stories about horrible things that have actually happened, and figured you might want to listen too. I think it's probably about that time to tell the whole world what we think.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Unprofessional opinion. In this next segment, nope, I'm going to try that again.
Off to a fucking great start.
Great start. In this next segment, Travis and I discuss the most burning questions our society faces today. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is the worst style choice you ever made?
Ooh, I went through a period of time where I wore big, gaudy rings on each one of my fingers, and I would...
like what type of rings?
I mean, skulls. Like, I had one that was just a metal spike that ran down the length of my finger. I mean, they're great for fights, but...
Were you as genuinely badass as you wanted your rings to indicate?
Oh, no. I mean, I got my ass kicked a lot, but I wasn't afraid to get my ass kicked. But, no. And I rocked those with the Jinko jeans. You know,
nice.
You gotta get in those, the Marilyn Manson t-shirts.
Yep.
Really into Manson. Mm-hmm. I even had a binder that I had glued, like hot glued serial killer quotes onto my binder.
Nice.
So I would walk around and I'd have these quotes from different serial killers because I thought I was so edgy and so cool.
So you were the one that made all of the parents nervous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was somebody, yeah, absolutely. Especially it was around Columbine, so like, I kind of had
the
Columbine
vibe you want to be throwing
shooter.
off right after a national tragedy like
Right?
that.
Yeah. I definitely had some vibes going on in those some Columbine vibes, but you know, we're normal now. I wear your standard North Face Patagonia white dude clothes. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're in Montana. That's what you have to wear.
That's what you gotta wear. They give it to you at the border.
So mine... I've sent you pictures of this. In fact, for those of you that don't know, Travis has this picture on his work computer that I made the mistake of sending him. Not
wallpaper.
The best idea. But this style choice... We went to Italy, and I thought that I would go full Hasselhoff. Yeah, Hasselhoff was not the way to go. I had a button-up shirt, but I was not wearing an undershirt with it, and though I had it unbuttoned, I swear it was down to my navel. It was unbuttoned all the way down. There was all of the chest showing, and I do not have one of those "you're welcome" bodies. You know, if people see the way that I'm built, there is nothing pleasant there. But I had the unbuttoned shirt and a scarf. I wore a scarf, and and I had a chin strap. It was the only facial hair I could grow at the time. There's no two ways around it.
I mean, I think chin straps just come with when you go to Walmart to buy a body kit or your Civic or whatever.
It wasn't the body kit. I got my muffler, my sports muffler from Walmart. How dare you?
That's when you grew the chin strap. It just magically appeared that day.
Yep. And I started hanging out with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Just all part of that group. And I'm very easy to influence. So I was this close to buying a Merce while we were in Italy, just some different from my work satchel. Because,
I mean, you do have a Merce now, so you didn't withstand the temptation forever.
It's a satchel. It's a Merce. I can't argue with that. More importantly, though, you know what? I think it's story time.
That was a pregnant pause.
I'm not
Quivering in
pregnant.
anticipation.
All aboard!
So, Hadj Mohammed Mesfewi was born
Hadj.
in Morocco in the 1850s, or the 1860s, or the 1870s. This one's gonna have some fuzzier time frames because there's really limited info, and by that I mean that there is a 30-year window of when this guy could have been born. That's as close as we can get. I'm going to assume that he was an Aquarius. Mostly because that's one of the only astrological signs I know.
I don't know. This guy's giving off big Scorpio vibes.
You don't even know yet. Just his name.
Yeah.
Has to be a Scorpio.
Hadj, Scorpio. I mean, hand in hand. It's the classic combo.
It is. It is. If you're going to be murderous, you're a Scorpio. I really didn't know anything about Morocco before doing the research for this episode, so let's dive into some background on the country. It's actually one of the most diverse countries in the world, but that wasn't up to them. They were originally controlled by Carthage and were actually the westernmost territory of Rome at its peak. There was an Arab conquest in the lat 7th. I have lat in my.
Oh,
The
these
lat,
lats.
the lat 7th century when they were getting all swole, just boom, firepower for days. They lived on nothing but protein powder. No, the late 7th century, and most of the people wound up accepting Islam. In the Middle Ages, the Christians were doing their own run of mass murders to spread God's love and forgiveness. Of course, that's how you do it. This made for waves of Muslim and Jewish exiles flooding into Morocco. Europeans never really got a foothold in the country, however. In the 16th century, the Ottomans tried taking the country over, but those badass Moroccans managed to fight them off.
I know how tough Ottomans can be. I stubbed my toe on one recently.
They just don't give up. They hold their ground.
I mean, it was just a little stub and so much pain. So
I feel like we're talking about the night you lost your virginity.
it was my uncle. Don't talk about him like that. Keeping it in the blood.
It's tough coming across your exes at family reunions. Now that we have a little info on Morocco, let's dive into more of our story. So Mesfewi was probably a millennial, I'm guessing, because he worked 2 different jobs to stay afloat. He was both a cobbler and a public letter writer. Don't know how those things
go hand in
together.
hand.
Right.
Transferable skills. Really,
Well,
that's what it's about.
If you were going through high school and you were an expert cobbler, naturally they would have you be a professional letter writer. That's what the career counselors would always have you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great dessert. So. I like peach.
I like to imagine that he wore a Keebler elf costume while making shoes. And this will seem especially horrifying once you get into what Mesfewi did in his free time. But more importantly, did you also know that there are a ton of Keebler elves? And they have names. I had no idea. I had no idea that they have names.
Just the way that this research took you. I mean,
ADHD to the rescue. I thought Keebler, there has to be some more things about
as we're
the Keebler
talking
elves.
about this murderer, let's talk about
Cookies.
cookies.
So we have J.J. Keebler, Ernest J. Ernie Keebler, Friar Tuck, Zoot, Ernie's mother, Ma Keebler, which I'm not sure why she doesn't have her own identity. I found a list of all of the Keebler elves. She was the only one that was identified by her relationship to someone else.
I mean, is she the only female?
I don't think so. Larry. Yep, Larry's the other woman.
Is it really?
No.
I was accepting it. I was like, all right.
So there is also Elmer Keebler, Buckets, Fast Eddie, Sam, Roger, Doc, Zach, Flo, Leonardo, Elwood, Professor, Edison, Larry, and Art. How are they all fitting into that tree?
I mean,
It's just one tree. Is it like a clown car?
I mean,
Is it just a giant Keebler elf orgy? Just nonstop?
I mean, they're all fitting into Ma Keebler too. So
It either
just a sausage, Keebler elf sausage pile up. There's lots of friendly fire.
so many tiny people.
That's how they make the cream for the cookies.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. It has to be a nonstop elf orgy.
all
Or
the
they
time.
hate each other, or both. Who knows?
I mean, we don't want to get into elf politics right now. You know, we have Hadj to talk about.
So we also all know what a cobbler is. It's someone who makes delicious fruit desserts with a crumble topping. But what is a public writer? Apparently, illiteracy was still rampant in Morocco because public letter writers were people who, shocker, wrote letters for people. Can you imagine some hardcore racist hick wanting to write a letter to a local newspaper? Listen here, you pencil holding fuck. I want you to write to the reading folk that we need to get these people out of the country. We all know who I'm talking about. They're sneaky, thieving, and we can't count on them for nothing. Everyone's too scared to speak up in this PC culture of the late 1800s. But I'm not. We're talking about the Swiss. Always thinking they're better than everybody with their chocolate and universal health care. I'm sick of it.
Goddamn Swiss.
Damn Swiss.
I'm pretty sure Swiss is that Switzerland or Sweden? Which one's Swiss? Which one makes the cheese?
Switzerland.
Oh, well, I'm Swedish. It's not the same.
No, that's definitely not the same thing.
I'm just taking guesses. I have approximate knowledge of many things.
Just guessing on your heritage. Yeah. You guys may not know this, but I'm actually Moroccan. You can tell from my dark skin tone.
I mean, how close is Morocco to Lebanon? I mean, I feel like they're probably pretty close.
I don't know. Where is Lebanon in relation to Rome? Because I know that.
Pretty close.
Okay.
I mean,
Not
they're
the
neighbors, yeah.
current Rome, like the Roman Empire.
I mean, Roman Empire stretched all the way to like England,
And Morocco.
Morocco, on the western side.
Yep. Let's see. We're unclear about when or how they met, but Mesfewi winds up connecting with a woman named either Anna or Rahali.
Those are very different names.
It is. That's quite the range of names. Do you remember that one guy's name? I think it was either Cassiopeia or Bob. Mesfewi and Anna decided that they weren't making enough money. I think Mercury was in retrograde. They decided that the best way to make more cash was to kidnap girls, behead them, and steal any jewelry or anything else they might have. Now, okay, if he was offering this person disposal business for the racist guy, from earlier, I think that'd be fine. We'd be good with that.
I mean, I feel like the beheading was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, no, they
Like,
for sure went over the top, way over the top.
I did see a video. It happens remarkably easy. People getting their heads cut off. Like, yeah. I got a video that I saw that was this dude and his ex-girlfriend, and he just, like, cut their head off, like, in the middle of the street.
What?
And it was, like,
Where did
10
you find
seconds.
this video?
Oh, Reddit. I mean, of course.
That's horrifying. And
But
just
it was
to
like,
clarify,
I was
your
amazed how fast it
takeaway-
was.
Your takeaway from seeing that video was that looks way so easy.
Yeah, I mean, it I was like, I could do that.
Give me a butter knife. I'm set. I am concerned now. Guys, I'm alone with Travis in our basement and not entirely sure that I'm going to make it out of this. So
It's getting dark.
It's getting dark. But these girls would come to his business to have him write letters for them, and he and Anna would give them wine laced with narcotics. Really, it
He
just
just
seems like these knew how to-
pioneered the roofie.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, these two knew how to party. You show up, get booze, drugs,
Decapitation.
decapitation, everything. Everything a good party scene should have.
Right.
Once they were unconscious, Mesfewi would go through their pockets and belongings. Then their kappas were detated, and he would bury them. They wound up finding 36 bodies between his basement and garden. 36.
Jesus.
This guy clearly wasn't hoping for good Yelp reviews. 4 out of 5 stars. Seems to have neat handwriting. Tried to drug me and cut my head off. Probably won't be back. Oddly enough, this arguably isn't even the most interesting part of the story, though. Where it really caught my attention was how this guy got punished. The Moroccan government toyed with death by feather tickling or death by mustache ride.
I mean, sign me up.
On another note, I'm shaving my mustache tonight.
Or is it going to rub off due to friction?
It's just gone. Gone. Before finally landing on crucifixion as the best solution. But
Worked for the Romans.
Western governments, for some reason, gonna try that again. But Western governments, for some strange reason, thought this was a little barbaric. Yes, this is President Roosevelt calling for the Moroccan government. Yes, I can hold. Oh, hello. Yes, I read in the newspaper that you were going to be crucifying someone. No. I agree. He has to die. It seems to be the literal worst. My issue is that I've only heard about one other guy getting crucified, and from my understanding, he didn't stay dead. I mean, there was a book about it and everything. I just want to make sure this guy doesn't come back to life and become super popular with the Sunday morning crowd. Because of pressure from other governments, Morocco told the world that they weren't actually going to crucify Mesfewi. They announced that they would behead him, and the collective masses were like, meh, yeah, that sounds good. It didn't take long for the rest of the planet to lose interest in the story, so they were eventually free to do whatever the hell they wanted with him anyway. For about a month, Mesfewi was brought out to the public square and was whipped with thorny branches. The same was being done to Anna, who wound up dying after a few days. I've been decapitating people for their pocket change for a few years now, and I've never been whipped by a thorny branch. Not once. I mean, I keep asking, but it turns out the broken judicial system in this country doesn't take requests. Every night, they would clean his back and treat it with vinegar and oil so that he'd be a little healed up for the next day.
Imagine how bad that are. I mean, he deserved it, like, obviously.
Vinegar.
And, like, I feel like we should probably do this with more people. Like, I'm not against this at all. Like, this just sounds like a good idea.
About the thorn whipping?
Well, yeah. More the extended torture.
Yeah.
Jesus. Like, is that your doorbell?
Nope, that is an alarm. So we can hear it go out. It's a motion sensor in the hallway.
Nice.
Like I said, this went on for about a month and must have been They must have been waiting until Jupiter was ascending. Anyway, so about a month goes by, and Mesfewi still hadn't died. It had to be a bad mark against the dude doing the whipping. Kyle, come on, you've been with this guy a month, and he's still not dead. This just isn't going to look good on your performance review. Todd, right here, has killed 3 people from whipping just this morning. Look at that smile on his face. He just takes so much pride in his job. What's it? No, I don't know. I didn't know you were Capricorn. Huh. This still doesn't mean you can just stop killing willy-nilly, though. You're off the whipping team, and you'll be doing coffee runs now.
He was just quiet quitting.
He was just plodding along until
Just
they fire
phoning
him.
it in. Yeah.
So the sun pops up over the horizon, and 2 masons roll up into the town square, and start digging into a wall. They dig a hole that's about 6 feet tall, 2 feet deep, and 2 feet wide. People packed the square to get a chance to see what's about to happen. Mesfewi gets hauled across the square and pushed into the wall hole. He's chained to the back of the hole so he can stay visible to the crowd through the whole process. They didn't want him sitting down and, hiding.
Right.
This has to be a very public thing. The masons start to lay down brick layer by layer, closing up the doorway. This whole time, Mesfewi is yelling and screaming. Hey, guys! Guys! I can appreciate a practical joke as much as the next guy. Really, I can. Daily whippings for a month straight, classic. Absolute classic. I'm still laughing about it. Whew. But I think you're taking it a little far this time. When do I get to be part of the frat? They keep layering down more and more bricks until they finally put the last one in, closing Mesfewi in his public tomb. He actually lasted a few days in there, finally succumbing to the heat, dehydration, and starvation.
Nice.
So today's story had some interesting jobs.
I mean, it's a new weight loss technique.
It is.
He probably lost so much weight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there wasn't much cardio, so his cardiovascular system was still in trouble. But no, he was just ripped right from the get-go.
Or whipped.
So today's story had some interesting jobs. What is the worst side hustle you've ever tried?
Worst side hustle.
Yep.
I mean, the hardest would be bucking bales.
Oh, for
I
a
also
second I
have
thought that was like a
allergies.
store name. No. That was very very city white guy of me. Fucking Bills, I've never been to that restaurant. Interesting.
I heard they have a great Cobb salad. No, bucking bales, I had allergies, so I was out there just getting money to buy Everclear to put in my Gatorade. So, 15-year-old me, 15 things, hashtag, and then it was awful, just dying.
Yeah, that's
it was
so
so
bad.
hot. It itched so bad. Like you'd be sweaty, the hay'd stick to you. It was hell. It was the worst thing I've ever done. And I've done drywall. So
And drywall was better than
oh yeah, the
bucking
bucking
hay.
bales. Oh yeah, especially I was like my eyes would get like swollen shut by the end of the day. It was awful.
So you were allergic to it.
That was allergy. Yeah, absolutely terrible hay fever. It was awful.
Just like your job, working at the vet hospital when you were allergic to animals. See, mine was back in college. Erica and I had just gotten married. We were broke college kids, and I needed to make some extra money. So I figured, you know what? I've seen ads all over the place for donating plasma. And the people on the website and the billboards always looked so happy. Why wouldn't I want to be happy? So I went down there, and they, have to do a physical exam. And they realized that, I was falling to pieces. Their fingers went everywhere. Everywhere. No. I don't know how an enlarged prostate, can relate to donating plasma, but they checked. So
That was just a dude that was there to donate.
it was
That was Homeless Willie.
Dirty Mike and the boys.
You met their Homeless Willie.
Yeah, that's what he checked my prostate with. And so went through the whole exam. They have to run blood tests to make sure that my herpes simplex AIDS was finally dying down. Luckily, that didn't show up on the test, so I was able to donate. And when I finally got to donating, it was like 2 hours of checking before I could sit down in the chair. And they sit down and...
Because of your sore? Is that why you couldn't sit down in the chair?
Oh, yeah. No, my asshole is blown out. It is like a very old windsock. And not even one of the windsocks that you see at, like, good airports. I'm talking, like, rural dirt runways. That's the kind of windsock that my asshole is turned into.
I'll take that dirt runway anytime. It's like waking up after camping with my uncle.
Prepare for landing.
Especially with those headphones on. You look like you're going to guide me right on in.
Next time we get together, you are bringing those light up cones to guide in. It's going to get way more interesting.
I'll just have a glow in the dark condom.
Just make sure it's charged up this time. Last time it was dark. I was really disappointed. I wanted a lightsaber fight. So they take the giant garden hose that they call a needle, and they poke it into my arm, and it's running for a little while. And all of a sudden, I look down, and I have a baseball-sized hematoma on my elbow. That's not good. So I call someone over, and they're, oh no, that's rough. So they patch me up. They pull that out. It bleeds all over the place. They have to bandage me up, and they're like, well, we can try the other arm.
They're just still going.
Yep.
They should have just given you the money and like, please don't report us.
Oh, it gets better. So they try my other arm. 10 minutes in, my arm blows up. So I have two giant hematomas, one on either arm. And they come over, and then they look at the bag, and they go, so we don't have enough plasma to be able to pay you. But if you want to come back in the next 24 hours, it'll still be fresh enough that you can add to it. Oh, hell no. Nope, I am going to earn my extra money walking the street.
Just a nickel at a time.
Just like Grandma intended. So
Back then, there were wooden nickels she took.
I will never, ever donate plasma again. If it's between my family dying and donating plasma...
I had to think about it.
I'd probably still donate plasma, but it'd be a tough call.
Depends on which family member.
It really does. And the day. I think it's time we probably bring some happiness to the world. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Good news, everyone!
Well, that's not so horrible.
So, I was looking for some happy stuff, and you know who makes me really happy? Steve Irwin. Good old crocodile hunter.
I mentioned him in the last episode.
Yeah, we're just bringing it back
Seems to be
around.
a trend. Okay, go on. Steve Irwin.
So, the animal hospital that he founded, they have saved their 90,000th patient, and that does include, the Australian firefighters wildfires. That was really easy for me to say. The Australian wildfires that did 12.35 million acres of land, and like 500 million different species died.
Okay.
So,
and no exaggeration, I'm assuming 500 million species all died.
Not animals, not species. 500 million animals. It was terrible. So many koalas. Just crispy, chlamydia-filled koalas.
They're only chlamydia-filled because you went there.
That's how they got AIDS.
You were the start of... You were the start of the animal AIDS pandemic.
It was 30% of the
bad.
koala population died.
30%?
30% of the New South Wales mid-north coast may have been killed.
Has it occurred to you, though, that at some point in the wildfire process, those koalas were perfectly barbecued. Like, just the
There was a
most
moment.
tender, juiciest koalas you've ever imagined.
Oh, I mean, the chlamydia makes it spicy. They poop all over themselves too.
I have a tin of dried chlamydia in my closet over here.
Dried chlamydia.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
sprinkle it on
Right
here.
on the food. I just
Like a
I just
dry
Salt
rub.
Bae it right onto my food.
But
So anyway, we're way off topic here.
yeah, Steve Irwin and his family and both of his kids work at that wildlife rescue.
That's fantastic.
They're great.
90,000 though?
90,000th patient.
That's huge.
That is huge.
Just like some of their animals.
I mean, I guess.
Who knows? That was off the wall comment.
Just like some of their animals.
Did you know animals are sometimes bigger than other animals? They're big. Like, if you thought that a dog was big, this is bigger than that. It's great.
So big. The biggest of animals.
Well, that wraps up the very
Very 30th.
I'm struggling today.
It's right the very last.
Yep. We're not having any episodes after this. Well, that wraps up the third episode of Well, That's Horrible. Please like, subscribe, and rate on whatever podcast platform you use. It just really helps us to move up the charts so we can get seen and we can keep coming out with these horrible stories for you. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok under Well, That's Horrible. As we gain listeners, we will be adding a segment where we tell horrible stories from our listeners. You can send those stories to info@wellthat'shorrible.com or hit us up on our socials. We'd love to hear from you. Stay safe out there, and always remember to make the world a little less horrible.
Well, that's horrible.
In this next segment, I'm going to try that again.
Off to a fucking great start.
Great start.